Hey everybody, Justin Cody Warden, the Director of Business Development for Awesome American Technology, and I'm here with Mr. Todd Roundtree. Todd, do you even know why I have you out here yet?
No, I'm waited on bated breath.
All right, well, you probably definitely don't understand why I have you sitting next to the Aqua ROSE.
No, I don't.
Well, here's the reason why. The main reason I brought you out here is I've been getting a lot of questions lately pertaining to the Aqua ROSE and specifically pertaining to, will Coherent Jets hurt my circuit board?
Well, I think the short answer is no. But the more, the deeper answer is there's a reason why they won't hurt.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I've done a little research. I got two papers here that I want to bring up with you. So I'm going to bring these up real quick and maybe you can give us a little bit more intel on why they're relevant to today. So we're going to start here with a paper, a white paper. It's actually on our website. It's actually done by the founder of our company, Steve Stash, back in 2004. There's a few other gentlemen that have a pretty good resume on here as well. I'm going to go down to page 6, and I'm going to read this part right here. And what it says here is optimized jets in dishwasher-style batch cleaners provide large cohesive droplets from relatively large, low-pressure coherent jets. These large droplets adhere to the assemblies rather than bounce or splash like their pressure or their high-pressure cousins. I guess by cousins he means fan jets.
Yes, definitely fan jets.
And provide a more consistent and thorough cleaning in shadowed area. Now, before we dig into that too much, Todd, what exactly is a shadowed area?
So basically, when the boards are loaded in a batch-style cleaner versus an inline cleaner, they're generally racked. And when we rack them, the angle of the boards tends to block parts and other parts of the board from the spray nozzles.
Now, I'm pretty sure I understood everything. I'm not the scientist. Obviously, Steve took care of all that for us, and he's our lead chemist here at Awesome American Technology. But what I think I heard was the coherent jet that we use in the Aqua ROSE, when the water or the liquid comes through the nozzle or jet, we'll get into that a little later, the water droplets are much larger than what they would be coming through a fan jet and then essentially separating the smaller particles. Why is that advantageous to a board?
Well, once again, kind of like the paper stated, or at least what it surmised there, was that we're getting a larger water droplet onto the board surface, onto those parts. So if we're actually washing with the chemistry, that's basically more chemistry that we're getting on the surface. It allows it to actually penetrate and get underneath the parts like it's designed to do. So that's why it's much more important.
Now, have we always used coherent jets in our batch cleaner?
We haven't actually. Back in 2004, when Steve and Mike Fixman were writing that paper, was when we were making our transition. And the reason being is that we realized that there was a benefit, a cleaning benefit, to switching from a fan jet style to a coherent style.
Yeah, and I want to bring up another point here because when I've talked to a few clients that potentially would be purchasing the Aqua ROSE, and I understand their hesitation of using a coherent jet because they're thinking about our inline cleaners, and you might see an inline cleaner in the background of Todd there, but we use coherent jets in our inline cleaners as well, and those work off high pressure and oversaturation of the board. And I think what's happened, Todd, is we're coming into an issue where they think we have some sort of supercharged air-fed nozzle attached to our dishwasher wands, because that's essentially what a batch cleaner is. I mean, you're looking at it as a dishwasher type appliance. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up a quick a photo of exactly what our wands look like. Let's zoom in here, Todd. So why don't you kind of walk us through the wands, or should we just stop calling them jets and just go with wands or nozzles or something along those lines?
In our batch cleaner, it is a wand.
Yeah. So what I'm looking at here, I'm showing it right now. You can't see it, but I'm showing a picture of the wand. And close up here, you see that we have our wand and we have round circular holes essentially drilled or pre-drilled into these wands. So there's no attachment or nozzle. Whereas if you look at some of the competitor machines, from what I've noticed, you really only have an upper and lower wand, and it has these essential attachments across it every few inches that is turning it into a fan jet. Is that correct?
That is correct. And with ours, of course, like you mentioned, we're using just a drilled hole. So that drilled hole, for one, we can actually fit more of them on the spray bar which helps us in our coverage and to prevent shadowing. Versus a fan jet, when we're using fan jets, you really only get about 6 or so fan jets per wand on there. So, and then generally what happens, what you have to do with a fan jet is you've got to really power it, and you've got to create a lot of manifold pressure in order for those droplets that come out of that fan jet to have any impingement pressure on the board surface. So our competitors, and even we used to, have to have really large pumps to drive these spray wands in order to create that pressure.
Sorry to interrupt you there. That's the main point. By moving over to the Coherent Jets, we are now able to run a fully powered Aqua ROSE with a lower horsepower engine.
That's exactly
or motor, rather,
yes,
right?
Exactly right.
So when you're talking about purchasing an Aqua ROSE and you're talking about purchasing any type of major appliance or piece for your floor, it's more than just the sticker price. You have to take into consideration the upkeep cost and what it's going to cost to run that thing on a daily basis. And when by using the Coherent Jets, we're able to run less power and use less power to essentially get the exact same pressure you would get with a fan jet. And in fact, sometimes with a fan jet, because of the particles that go into the batch cleaner, especially with a zero discharge batch cleaner, those particles can make their way back into the wand and potentially clog a fan jet, leading to higher pressure or inconsistent pressure coming across that board. So if you're worried about damaging your board, that may be another reason you want to steer away from those fan jets and focus more on a Coherent jet, because you're actually accomplishing more with less pressure. So that's going to bring me up to another paper I want to show here, Todd. And it's actually done all the way back in 1983. I figure it's not fair if we only use our own research to make our own point. So let's go back to 1983 from the National Water Jet Conference. This is a 500-page document. I'll put a link in it so you guys can check it out. But let's go all the way down to page 187, where they actually come to a conclusion about the use of coherent jets, or what they called them back then, round jets. The conclusion says that water jet cleaning systems require a high energy transfer from the pump through the water to the target surface. In conventional water systems, a round jet, or coherent jet, is capable of carrying energy to a much greater distance than a fan or spray jet. So Todd, what does that mean?
Well, basically it's saying that we can get more pressure further away from the wand than you can with a fan jet. So because of that, kind of goes back to why anybody who's using a fan jet has to really pressurize their manifold in order to get any pressure on a board surface. With us, we use high flow, low pressure coherent jets that allow us to get the same amount of pressure that we build up in our manifold on the board surface with using a lot less power.
A lot less power. So you're actually accomplishing more with less. So you don't have to worry about truly damaging. And in fact, I went ahead and I did a little bit more research because I wanted to also compare our machines, because it's often compared to a dishwasher of sorts, a high-end commercial grade dishwasher that you can put some pretty potent chemistries in there, because the chemistry is actually doing a lot of the work too. So I just did some research on commercial grade dishwashers, restaurant grade dishwashers, and I even looked as far as the most expensive dishwasher that is made specifically only for cleaning the finest glassware and champagne glasses. I've broken a few champagne glasses. I'm sure you have as well. And what I found is they are all using coherent jets for the very reason that you just explained: high pressure, low energy. Because when you start putting these appliances in your house, that electric bill starts to go up pretty quickly. And whether it's in your house or it's on your assembly floor, you want to make sure you're using the right machine that's going to effectively, without damaging, clean all of your parts. And there's one last tidbit I want to go into, and we don't talk about it enough and why it's so beneficial. But Todd, can you bring in or talk more about why our drying system is superior using the coherent jets, or what we now call the coherent wands, nozzles, insert whatever word you want to describe them?
Well, we do our drying a little bit differently in our machine than most others. Most everybody else basically brings air in through a funnel jet or a snorkel jet in the back of the machine, and then hopefully allow the blower to power that and circulate the air around. We actually bring our air in through the spray manifold. So therefore, those coherent jets, as they're spinning around, we're actually blowing our warm air down onto the parts, just as the water would travel to the parts. But the biggest advantage to that, other than reducing our dry times by about 25% over most of our competitors, the biggest advantage is that allows us to actually save on chemistry. And what do I mean by that is that when we are switching from our chemistry wash over to our first rinse, we actually turn that blower on for a few seconds and actually blow the manifold and those spray wands out, so we get all of the chemistry that's built up in there out of those, drained back into the chemistry tank. And then that also doesn't pollute or contaminate our first rinse.
All right, you heard it right there. So that is what we're going to end this video on. The Coherent Jets will not damage your board. I don't care how sensitive they are, how thin they are, or what material they're made of. You are not going to damage it purely by the force of the water created by a Coherent jet. In fact, the fan jet may run the risk of damaging it more so. I don't think any of them will. I don't think that's really something we need to consider with today's science and technology. But I will tell you, by using the Coherent jet in the Aqua ROSE, you're also going to shorten your cycle time, which is going to save you money, save you energy. And by using the Coherent jet, you're going to be able to get away with a superior machine using a less horsepower motor. So what I want you to do is I want you to reach out to us at Justin at aat-corp.com. I can set these cameras up, and what I'll do is I'll stand right next to Todd, as you see right there. And what we will do is we will do a live virtual demonstration specifically for you. We will turn the machine on, we'll fire it up, and most importantly, you'll be able to see how the Aqua ROSE will run specifically to the way you are going to use it on your floor. If you want to send parts in, of course, we always love to test your parts in our demo room to get you that science and that data you need to make the right decision. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good day.